We are live. Hello, everyone. I just want to check. We have to check and make sure that we are streaming to the right places. Thank you for joining us. This is an audio only event, but I'm just keeping my video on just for a moment to make sure that the event is being live streamed to the Jeddy Wellness page, YouTube, as well as the Sumana Jeddy page. So if you're joining us from either one of those pages, please just let me know if you can hear us and see us. I think that's the most important thing. I guess even hear us would be great. Let me just check if we're good to go here. I think we are live streaming. Let me check the Jeddy page. I just always have to make sure that this is working, just because you never know. Technology, right? Okay, I think we're good. Live streaming on LinkedIn, live streaming on YouTube. Let me just check YouTube for a real quick second here and make sure we're there as well. Okay. I think we're good. If you are joining us, please just let us know where you're joining us from. This is Workplace Wellness Hour, not Workplace Wellness Hour. This is Workplace Wellness Highlights. My name is Sumana Jeddy. I'm so happy to be here. This is our last and final event of 2025. We're doing this wrap up a little bit early, just because we want to give you a more relaxed December, and we want to make sure that you have time to do all your Christmas stuff, spend time with your family, and take this opportunity just to welcome everybody as well. If you are joining us live, please just put it in the chat box and let me know that you are. I'd love to see who is here with us. Tell me if you're joining us from which country. I know there was over 100 people who registered, so I'd love to see who is actually here with us. A quick emoji, a quick hello, that'll be great. And tell us if you are team live or team replay. I'm waiting for one more ambassador to join us, and he will in a moment or two. But before I do that, I just want to, first of all, thank you for your time. I know everyone's really busy on Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock for me in Mountain time, doing all kinds of things. So if you are busy, I do want to thank you for taking the time. We're going to be live for just 1 hour, 60 minutes maximum. We have quite a bit of content to cover. We're going to go through some of the best strategies that that we've been able to share with you over the last year, and some other fun little things as well. So if you are live, let me know, because I would like to see some comments and make sure that you are engaged with us. A couple of things I'd like to say as well is big thank you to Nikki, Estes, Sheni, Annalise from Market Me More and from Emerging Voices Unite. You guys have been so great with getting the event promoted and getting it to the right people. So I'm just really, really grateful for all the support you've given me over the last 10 days or so since we got this event launched on LinkedIn. Beyond that, not much else to say. I just want to quickly go over a couple of things. The first thing I want to talk about here is just the rules of engagement. For this event, we love interaction. We love comments, reactions, anything that you can give us real time would be great. So feel free to do that. This is an audio only event. So in just a moment, I will turn off my video. You can ask a question. There's going to be 3 different speakers, including myself at the end. So I guess 4 speakers. So if you have a question or a comment, put it in the comment section there. And if you have a question for a specific speaker, just tag them so that if they don't get a chance to answer the question live today, they will definitely be able to answer the question later, because we do review the comments after the event is complete as well. I'm allowed to bring probably 1 more person up on stage. I think I can have up to 6 people. So if you do want to come up on stage and share the stage with us, and if you think it's easier just to speak versus type a comment, you can just come up on stage and do that as well. you lost my audio. So I'm back. Hopefully you can hear me. I'll turn my camera off and I will just do audio for now. So the Jetty Wellness Ambassador Program, I just wanted to spend a couple of moments just talking a little bit about it. Um, we started this program in 2024, in the fall of 2024, so it's been a little over a year, and we have ambassadors here on the show with us. We have Jason Roeder, who was in the first cohort, and then Hannah joined us later, and Jackson joined us later. Furkan's also one of our ambassadors as well. One of the reasons we wanted to do this was just to amplify the impact of workplace wellness. Now, if you're someone who loves evidence-based strategies, if you like speaking at events like this one, if you like writing content and blogs, and if you want to be a thought leader and grow your personal brand, this would be a great place to start doing that. We also do training for ambassadors to become facilitators. So doing events like this is a great opportunity to actually practice some of the facilitation techniques that we're doing as well, and elevate your presence in workplace wellness conversations like this one. We do this event 3 times a year, and this is a great time to just have these conversations and practice what we do once a month when we have our ambassador meetings. Last but not the least, if you want to be part of the movement, right? If you want to be part of something really cool, as workplace wellness is, corporate wellness has become such a big, not just an idea, but a movement. This would be an opportunity to do that. So if you want to become a Jetty Wellness Ambassador, please send me a direct message, either on the Jetty Wellness page or on my LinkedIn page, and we can go from there. Okay, is anybody watching us live? This is a great time to put those comments in the chat box or in the comment section. Let me see who is here with us. And if you are here, just give us a little shout out, just so we want to make sure that you are listening and engaging and being part of the conversation. The way that this event is set up is that we have 3 speakers. I'll be the 4th one. The first speaker is going to be Jackson, and he is going to be talking about recovery. The second speaker is Hannah, and she's going to be talking about workload. And the third speaker is going to be Jason, and we're going to tie into trust and leadership in that last space there. So that is what we're going to be doing. So without further ado, I would like to hand over the microphone to Jackson. Please introduce yourself. You have about 5 to 10 minutes to walk through what you're going to be teaching, and tell us a little bit about yourself, why you joined the program, and then I'll put the slide up, and then we can just have a really fun conversation about recovery. Okay, Jackson, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sumana. You guys can hear me all right, I hope.
Yes.
My name is Jackson, and I am in the mental performance consulting sphere of work, meaning that I work mostly with athletes on ways to improve performance based on the mental framework behind it. So that's my main form of work, as well as using those type of mental skill and life skill education practices in the educational sphere as well. So I work with some young children to help with mental and life skill building. So without further ado, we will go straight into rest and recovery and the difference between the two. You guys will see the slide come up in a little bit, and we'll see the difference between them. So rest is what a lot of us think of when we think of the word recovery as well. And so there is a distinct difference. When we think of rest, we think of lying still, giving our body a break, allowing things to recharge. And recovery is a little bit different, right? So with recovery, we're looking for the elements or the things that we can incorporate that create energy. So rest is something that may create energy for you, and that might be a form of recovery if that's what you need. Others, it might be something that's very active. So for example, my favorite form of recovery is exercise. I enjoy going on a short run or maybe a walk, or hitting the gym to feel just that energy rejuvenated. Oftentimes when I wake up in the morning, or if I'm lifting after work, I don't really feel all that enthused about going. But by the time I'm leaving, I feel really good about myself. I feel like I've accomplished something, and I feel like I have new energy, which is why I typically like to work out in the mornings to bring that kind of energy to my day. So now that we've defined recovery as Jetty Wellness would like to define it, If you guys want to throw in the comments, if you guys are listening live, some forms of recovery that you prefer, I'd love to hear it. So just give us anything that you like to do as a form of recovery, something that really brings you energy. And so we're going to kind of talk about the need for recovery and rest in the workplace sphere, right? And so I'm going to talk about how our current culture really has shifted towards this toughness, this culture that I call burnout boasting, and I'll talk about that in a second. But what I'll have you guys do as we talk about a culture that encourages toughness and that doesn't really define it well is what toughness means to you, right? We talk about the Mamba mentality a lot and what that means to be tough in the sports sphere, and that's really caused a lot of athletes to not realize their need for rest and recovery. And that just means that a lot of athletes think, well, if I'm sleeping, if I'm resting, if I'm doing things that I enjoy that bring me energy that aren't whatever sport I play or whatever sphere of work I work in, then someone else is getting ahead of me, right? The common conception in sports is if I'm not working, someone else is, and they're getting ahead of me. And so that kind of culture has created what we call it push through culture. And that push through culture is what has led us to this extreme burnout that a lot of us tend to deal with. And so what I call that is burnout boasting. A lot of us come to these conversations where everyone gets just wrapped up in how exhausted they are that, you want to express it. You want to let it out because you feel like you're overworked and you want someone to hear you. But then someone one-ups you. You got someone else is like, well, I actually did this, or I've gone this amount of days without a full night's sleep, or I had to work this many hours in a row in a shift, right? And I call that burnout boasting because we just seem to one up each other. And in this culture where it's reinforced, it's almost seen as like a good thing. Like, yeah, we have this employee that was willing to lay down X or give up Y. And that kind of culture that we've built is very or unproductive for our actual productivity in the workplace. I'll give an example of my own. My own boss stayed for a 24-hour challenge we had here at school where two students wanted to stay on the playground for 24 hours in a Mr. Beast challenge-esque way. And my boss took the responsibility of saying, hey, someone has to stay here and watch those kids. I will stay overnight with these kids after working a full day with them and work the next one afterwards, right? That's something that our current culture in this grind culture that we talk about has really, really encouraged. So that's just an example of, the burnout boasting. He can now say, hey, I spent 36 hours. He's actually still there at work right now. And if he hits 6 o'clock, he will have spent 35 hours here, I believe. So in the name of burnout boasting, if you guys want to share some burnout boasts that you've heard before, or maybe something that you've done yourself, then you are more than welcome to share that in the comments, and you will receive your flowers before we talk about the necessity of recovery itself. So as we move on to the recovery itself, I'm going to tell you how important it is. In our blog about rest and recovery, we talk about what you model is what you multiply. And this is for leaders, right? If you're a workplace leader, if you have any person that works beneath you, you're considered a leader in your workplace in some regard. And what we mean by what you model, you multiply is the energy that you give forward is reproduced by your employees. Meaning that if you're worn out, if you're tired, snappy, not really bringing it to the job, then your employees will do the same thing, right? And that's not for us to say, hey, you need to bring it 100%, have the full force attitude all the time. It means that you have to really embrace the need for rest and recovery so that you can have the proper attitude at work, so that you are not feeling lethargic or overworked, so that you have the proper, interactions with your teammates and with those that work beneath you. So that's what we mean when we say what you model, you multiply. The proper thing to understand here when we're talking about recovery is that it's necessary for growth. A lot of us in work culture think that if I work more, I produce more. If I work more, I produce more. If I stay late, I'll get more deliverables accomplished, right? But I think that our workspace is much like training. Like I said earlier, my passion for the gym, it's much like training in the gym, right? You work hard in the gym, you break down those muscles, But what the actual where the actual progress is made is at home, when you're resting, when you're eating the proper foods to fuel those muscles, right? What you're doing in the gym is necessary to the growing process, just like your hard work at the job is necessary to actually accomplishing and doing the job properly. But if you are not doing the rest and recovery necessary, then eventually those gains or the productivity start to suffer, right? So I see in the chat we have a couple people checking in now. I'm not able to check it. Oh, there it is. I see some people are checking in from Charlotte, North Carolina. It's my hometown. Shout out, love it. See that we have some other folks saying, been burnt out at work before, had to quit, filed a complaint against the ex-colleague at HR. So that's an example of that. What you model, you multiply, right? The effect that you have maybe on the people on your same level or the people above you. And as we're running out of time here, I just want to talk about the 3 types of recovery that we have in our blog. Recovery was seen as the #1 factor in high-performing teams, according to Google's Project Aristotle, meaning that recovery is fairly important. In that gym analogy, I said that recovery that you do at home when you're working out is very, very vital to building those muscles up, right? If you just worked out, and you didn't eat properly and rest, those gains would be severely halted, right? You could even make negative gains if you're not eating the proper food or taking the proper rest. And then, of course, injury happens. Our injury, part of the metaphor, could be burnout. It could be as serious as a panic attack. It could be as serious as needing time off. Those things are all accumulate. And so what you want to do to avoid that quote unquote injury is to take the proper rest and recovery. And the 3 types of recovery that we talk about are cognitive, emotional, and social. So first, cognitive is that need for clarity, right? Cognitive recovery means doing things that allow you to clear your mind so that when you come back with that mental clarity, you can make quality decisions. Emotional recovery means taking note of your emotions, right? Maybe journaling after an interaction that you didn't feel like you handled the best because you weren't recovered enough, and how you could have done better with it. And then lastly, and this is the one I'll leave you with, is our social recovery, right? This is one that we do really well at the school that I work at. We have what we call limitless lunches. And these are lunches that we have with the students where we are not allowed to talk about anything academic related. All we can talk about are the things that they enjoy outside of school while we DoorDash one of their favorite meals. So this allows us to talk freely about the things that we care about and that they like, so that they can feel like them as people, as social beings are seen, and that we don't just care about what they produce in the classroom. And I believe that does come to the end of our time. So what I want you to do before I go is think about what form of recovery you feel like you need most, and maybe write down an example of a way that you can chase that form of recovery before you hop off this call.
Thank you so much, Jackson. That was great. I loved learning from you, and thank you for sharing that anecdote as well. Folks who are joining us, thank you so much. I this has happened to me once before. I hopefully have rectified this while you were speaking. Um, we can only restream on one page on LinkedIn. So I'm hoping that this is being currently streamed to the Jeddy Wellness LinkedIn page as well as the YouTube page. If it is, let me know, because I think it was only streaming on my page. I don't know if that is still continuing or if that changed or what happened. Did it stop, Hannah? Did that stop? I'm not really sure what's going on here. Let me just see if I can fix that. I'd like for this to be streaming on the Jeddy Wellness page. So hopefully that is still happening. Let me just quickly check. Let's see here. Because right now it says I'm streaming to the Jeddy Wellness event and to YouTube. I hope that is good and we are back on track. Just give me a heads up if that is good and we're back on track, or does it still say that it's not working? Can someone just check that for me, please?
It's showing now for me that it's live again.
Live again on Sumana's page or the Jeddy Wellness page?
Jeddy Wellness.
Yes, perfect. That is exactly where I want it to go. Um, is everybody good? Sorry, I know that this was not how I wanted it to work out, but hopefully this is good. Folks, if you've joined us back, please put it back in the comments that you're back. Jackson, thank you so much. Just give me one moment. I just want to make sure that this is good before we lose restream again. I think we're good. Okay. All right. Can someone just verify for me this is good? I'm so sorry, guys. I just want to make sure that we're not on the wrong page here, because I don't know what's going on with Restream. All right. I think what I'll do now is pass over to Hannah to chat with us and let us know what perfect. Yeah, no, I can definitely see you here. Hannah, let's welcome you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you have a lot you've been one of our ambassadors since the very beginning, and your topic connects really nicely to the recovery topic that Jackson was sharing, because when we think about recovery and especially this beautiful recovery and performance cycle that we went through and the different types of recovery, what you're going to talk about from workload now, I think is one that is very important. So let's have you talk a little bit about your favorite topic, which is on workload. Teach us a few things. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and you have about, again, 8 to 10 minutes, and then we'll go from there. Hopefully all the technical stuff is all figured out now. Over to you.
Hi, thank you for having me, everybody, and I'm sorry for any technical difficulties that we're facing, but when you only do this every now and then, it's anything that pops up is kind of like you're just putting out one fire after another. So I think today we've done pretty well with that, and thank you, Sumana, for putting this all together. My name is Hannah. I have a background in sports psychology as well, but it has been so cool to see how the education that I have translates so well to so many different facets of performance, and now exploring that more in the workplace environment. It's really seamless in a lot of aspects. So today, one of my favorite topics for sure is workload and understanding workload. And it is perfect to use recovery first to translate into talking about this, because when you have good practices of recovery, it does build your resources and it helps you understand your workload. So if you're someone like me that has a little bit of probably undiagnosed ADD and gets overwhelmed easily, understanding your demands and your workload and breaking it down really eliminates a lot of that stress that you can experience from just having too many things at once, or not knowing what to attack first. So the first thing we'll talk about today is demands. And we're going to use demand interchangeably with workload. And your workload can extend to things far beyond your actual work, like the demands of your job. So I want to pause for a second and think, if you're with us, think about the demands of your week. Think kind of what has been on your plate this week. You don't have to comment it, but you can if you want to, but just kind of reflect on that for a moment. For me, the example that I would use this week is it's sort of work related, I suppose, but it's my open enrollment week for insurance. And it's not a huge task and is, I suppose, sort of voluntary, but it has a long-term importance to it. But I've been putting it off because the idea of it overwhelms me. So I'm going to use that to kind of break down the different types of workload here. the prescribed workload is what your job expects you to do. So for me, in my example, it would be to complete my open enrollment by November 19th. Your perceived workload is how you feel about the work you have to do. So with a little bit of drama added in here, my perceived workload is decide how I want to financially and medically spend the next 12 months of my life, possibly even the next 5 years if I make any wrong decisions, with little to no information about anything, because I'm not very familiar with insurance. I'm kind of new to this, and it's something that you don't have a lot of information about going into it. And if you do, it takes a long time to kind of gather that information and talk to people. And then the actual type of workload is what you do to achieve your job's expectations. My example would be use the resources provided by my company to make an informed decision about what medical benefits would be suitable for my 2026. So those resources are the buffer that allow you to remain composed and motivated and action-oriented when you face your workload or any demands. So we'll transition a little bit more to talking about resources. You can do the same thing if you would like to just kind of think about, well, let me explain this first, I suppose. So resources are the buffer that allow you to remain composed and motivated, and just ready to face your workload and demands for the week. They can be social, such as relationships. They can be physical, such as money or tools. Time and energy is a huge resource, or even personality traits that help you succeed. So now it would probably be a better time to think about any examples of those things or anything that helps you succeed at your job or in your daily life. If you want to comment it, that would be great.
I have a question for you, Hannah. When you think about resources for you, like or demands for you, is there a method that you follow when you feel like you might be running low on resources? Is that something that you've been able to figure that out?
That's a great question. I would say that when I feel like I am overwhelmed with too much to do at once, and I kind of have to take a step back and think about, when you say method, what do you mean by that?
I'm just wondering, like, if there's, is it like when we talked about with recovery through Jackson, and all the different types of recovery that we need emotionally, cognitively, is there a point in your, demand resource model for yourself where you start to think, you know what, I think I'm overexerting. Like I might be running into this loss spiral. I might be heading towards burnout. So is there a way that or you are able to identify that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it does tie really well into the loss and gain spiral too, because when I start to feel like my demands are not met by the resources that I have, such as, the biggest one for me is often time. I guess time to prioritize types of recovery, honestly, would probably be the best way to say that. And sleep is super important to me. I like to protect my energy and protect my sleep, and just the different kinds of recovery that help me to function and be successful. So once I start to notice that my time, my energy, my rest is not able to, my demands are taking away from that, that's when I'll really start to feel stressed and overwhelmed, and kind of need to take a step back before I experience the burnout and associate all of those negative things with the task itself rather than how I'm handling it.
That's awesome. We just had Jay just coming in and saying hi. One other question before I let you go here is when we talk about perceived, prescribed, and actual workload, this is such a phenomenal strategy when you want to maintain or prevent burnout, is to categorize your tasks into these sort of like three different categories. A lot of young professionals, or I would even say professionals who've been in the corporate career for 20 years, we sometimes fail to do the audit with something like this. A quick question for you before I let you go and have our next speaker up here is, have you been able to use these three sort of elements to kind of do an audit of your own workload? I know you do a lot of other things besides the work you do for Jetty. And has that helped you with like burnout prevention and going into that loss spiral?
Yeah, definitely. Just being able to kind of know how I'm interpreting something versus what's expected of me, and then what I have to do to achieve it really helps you make a plan of action. And I think that I really like the gain spiral here, which I didn't cover as much yet, but when you are able to also reflect on like, well, what would it take for me to, like, when I accept this task, is it something that already fits within my skill set? Is it something I have the resources for? If not, what do I need to do to be able to get those resources or to be able to learn a new skill, which is also a great Jetty wellness topic that Sumana has talked about, upskilling recently. But when we are able to just pinpoint those specific areas that we need to focus on in order to make it to that next level and like push through with that engagement as our focus, that gives you a whole new perspective. So in my all the different things that I am involved in, I think my to-do list is always just, it's a running list, and being able to think about like, okay, what's actually, what do I have, what can I do right now? What can I do right now? What do I need to do something else to be able to accomplish it in the next day or two? And then also what is the expectation at the end? And like, what am I accountable to right now versus tomorrow?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Jackson, I know you put a massive comment that we can't show, but you want to just talk about it briefly?
Sure, yeah, I just wanted to give an example of kind of the relationship that you two were talking about, right? How sometimes your workload and your resources have that relationship, and it's not always a positive or a negative one. It depends on whether or not that workload can counteract or
Oh, I think we lost your audio, Jackson. Okay, we lost Jackson's audio. Totally fine.
We
I
had
think,
a comment from Jay as well.
yeah, go for it.
He said, do you believe burnout will happen more and more due to continuous growth of AI? And that's such an interesting question, because I think AI is normally thought of as something that's supposed to eliminate workload and help make things more efficient. But I also think that it kind of is, it lowers our expectation of the effort that we have to put in. And over time, it definitely could make us feel more burnt out by things way more quickly, because things are so simplified. So when you have something that maybe does take a little more effort, something that needs to be done personally, or if you have technological difficulties, as we've maybe even seen today, things can pile up on you really quickly.
Yeah, no, wonderful. We lost Jackson. Hopefully he'll join back. Thank you, Jay, for that comment, and thank you for always supporting all our events. I know, yeah, it was odd. It was streaming to a page which was not the event page, but I think we're all back to normal now. I can see all the logos. Everything is good to go here. We've had a really good conversation about recovery, which was this one right here. And then we've had a really powerful conversation now about workload. I've put the comment in the chat box here. I've added both the blogs that you can go read more about it, and definitely please check in with Hannah and check in with Jackson if there's any other questions. At this point, what I'd like to do is move on to another topic, one of our other popular strategies, something that has profoundly been not just most read, but also the most engaged with blog, was the one that we wrote over the summer on leadership. And, if you know the way that Jeddy Wellness operates, we talk about workplace well-being in 4 different levels: individual level, group level, leader level, and the organizational level. The O is where it's the hardest. That's where you have to do policy work, you have to do structural work. The L is this next hardest, and we've been talking a lot about some of these day-to-day things that we need to focus on, which is recovery and workload, which I think individuals and groups and teams can do. But what really becomes powerful is when leaders step in and there's trust. So if, for example, I want to talk about burnout, or if I want to talk about workload, which is one of the biggest reasons individuals burn out, is high workload. If there's no trust, within the work environment, especially with your leader, this conversation about perceived, prescribed, and actual workload, we're not even going to get there. We're not even going to talk about it because we're too scared. There's no psychological safety, and there's really no conversation that will happen if there's no trust. So at this point, I'd like to move the conversation into trust and have Jason introduce himself. In our first cohort, when the program started, we had Jason, Furkan, Natasha, and Kanchan. So he's been with us the longest. So I wanted to give him the best, save the best for last. So Jason, please introduce yourself. Walk us through your blog. Tell us, why you put these 5 elements of trust together, and anything else you'd like to share. Over to you.
Perfect. Thank you for that introduction. Hopefully I can live up to those expectations. But hi, everybody. I'm Jason. I've been in the cohort, I think, for over a year now. I have a master's in sports psychology, similar to Anna and Jackson, as well as pursuing my second master's in IO psychology, which I've been using in my new job in my family business, where my job is just very much, I'm a floater, but I'm working my way up to CEO. So that involves a lot of trust on my dad's part to give up his shares to me. So it's a lot of, why does he trust me? So that really does bring up the topic is, why do you trust somebody else? And I really want you guys to think about it. Like, what qualities make you trust somebody else, whether it be a coworker, a loved one, someone in your relationship? Why do you trust them? And what have they done for you to earn that trust? So I'll let you sit with that for about 10 seconds. So as I was reflecting as well, like, the person that always pops up into my head is my mom. Yes, I am a mama's boy, but basically the reason why I trust her is a lot of these 5 tenets that are laid out on the screen and all that she has done for me in all my life. And just starting with the first one is sharing something real. Um, when it comes to me and my mom or anything like that, it's having no filter and literally being able to share anything in your life. And that really boils down to what can happen in a workforce. You trust somebody because you know them, whether it be what they do in or outside the work. If you do share something real, it really allows you to not micromanage or be on top of that person. You can give them an assignment, or you can trust them with your own assignment, just because you know personal life. And I've definitely seen that in Naya's relationship. With every meeting, we kind of started off with sharing something personal. And within that, we're able to really gain perspective of our lives and what we really can do at that time for each other. The second part is just listening, similarly to how we were all just reflecting in the beginning of why we trust somebody. We're not there just to listen to act. We're listening to really understand that person. We're listening to hear them out, and within that, we're able to give a better answer rather than just listening to fill up time, listening just to move on for tasks. When you listen to understand, you're really able to move faster as well as move with more accuracy. The next is just micro communications, and this is really like just the small gestures you do, whether it be facial expressions, hand gestures, anything like that, or just smiling at someone throughout the day. When you smile with somebody, you're forming a bond, and within that, you're able to then trust that person more because you have a strong affection towards them, whether it be just as friends or even possibly more. The next one is just asking better questions, and this is something that we start with always, is just asking someone about their day or asking more their own personal questions so that you can get to the bottom of the answer and trust that you've actually reached the destination because you just went through it very, very thoroughly. And the last one is micro down to a big topic of gratitude or really congratulating something on a task. A lot of people, we always look for somebody else. We always look for recognition. This shows up a lot in sports where a lot of people or a lot of pitchers want to be recognized for their efforts. However, we're only recognized for like the home run or throwing a no hitter. So just showing micro gestures on small tasks goes a long way because even a small step forward is still a step forward. So I always like to leave the trust conversation with a quote that really resonated with me is that you can only move as fast as the speed of trust, whether it be within yourself or with others. So, how can you convey trust within yourself and others starting today, or even starting right now or tomorrow? And a lot of it boils down to consistency.
I love that. And Jason, you're you shared something that I've had to think about a lot as well. And every single person who's been part of our like this group right here, the ambassador group, I think at some point we've all had to develop trust with, like, I think with me, I guess, more so. I know with Hannah I had had a different interaction. I met Jackson. I think we've lost him again. He was in the show here. And with you, Jason, you and I have been working together for over a year now. Also working on your internship. So when I think back to our first meeting and having those conversations that I don't really think I was actively thinking like, oh, this is a trust building conversation. And the one thing I do want folks who are like listening or watching the replay later to focus on is you don't have to. I mean, it's good to. I mean, and Jason, you can correct me and give me another strategy. But when I'm developing trust with individuals, I'm not actively thinking, oh, this is a trust conversation, so I have to show up this way. I'm just doing it just organically. Using some of these like this framework here is really great, but I know some leaders who have difficulty building trust. Sharing something personal is such a great way. We've shared this a lot in so many of our other events where if I were to be a leader and raise my hand and say, I'm really struggling with anxiety, and say that in a meeting, that in itself opens up a little bit of trust where people can start to look at me as a human and not as a robot that's working, 24 hours a day. And it's hard to build trust that way. Any thoughts on that? And Hannah, do you have any thoughts on this framework as well? I'd love to hear from you as well.
Yeah, I just want to say I think you shared it beautifully in like the first 2 seconds of saying just showing up organically or authentically. I think just more of that sharing your perspective or actually how you feel at that time really helps a person understand how to approach a situation because a lot of us try to think just in our own shoes, but we never put ourselves in someone else's shoes. So basically, putting that out allows a person to interact with you more authentically and organically, which allows the situation to be resolved.
Wonderful. Hannah, any comments from you?
I think the listening piece is so important and probably very overlooked when you talk about trust and what it takes to build trust, and just simply both the reflective listening, but also just the quiet, like not needing to have a response type of listening, where you're just allowing someone to know that like you're in their corner, basically, is that can move people so far along in building trust without having to really have much said.
Awesome. Thank you so much, both of you. I am going to keep moving along here because we only have about 10 minutes. Again, apologies for the technical issues. I think no matter how many times I prep for this and do a test run, there's always something that goes wrong. And even though this is streaming on the Jeddy Wellness page, I'm not really sure if it's actually streaming to the event page. So anyways, here we are. We can always watch the replay, and I'm just really grateful that we are able to spend this time together and just learn from each other and be able to share as candidly as we can. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Hannah. The last thing I want to share here really briefly is this another blog that was really popular, a LinkedIn post that was really, really popular on LinkedIn. I decided to pull this one and not the one that I was originally thinking about, only because, well, we do this on LinkedIn. Most of our clients are on LinkedIn, and we spend most of our time on LinkedIn. So this was one of our best posts over the last, my best post over the last year, which was on signature strengths. And I really do like this model a lot, especially now when disengagement is at its highest. And I'm sure we've all seen that report where it's like 30% or more of the workforce is disengaged. And it's not unlike what we've seen before, where people are quiet quitting. We're not doing that. I think this time the disengagement that we're seeing in the workforce is totally different. This is more passive. This is more protected. We're not protesting like we did during quiet quitting. We're almost holding on to our jobs. A lot of the professionals that I talk to are worried that, you know what, I don't want to lose my job. Therefore, I want to make sure that I am positioning myself and staying here and being competitive, which then obviously leads to burnout as well. So because disengagement is so high, and we're not vocal about it as we were in 2022, 2023, and things are changing as we wrap up this year, what we want to really focus on is signature strengths from a perspective of gaining skills. Hannah alluded to that in the beginning of our conversation, cross-skilling, reskilling, multi-skilling. There's all these different ways that we can skill build, and signature strengths is one that we can. What I'd love to whoever's watching, I don't know who's watching at this point, but whoever's watching live, and even if you're not watching live, if you're watching the replay, think of it as a podcast you can listen to later. I'd love for you to think about how we have our signature cocktail or our signature dessert or a main that we'd like to cook, or whatever that may look like, or your signature outfit, whatever that is. I would love for you to just know what your signature strengths are. I always ask folks, do you have at least 5? Do you have 5 signature strengths? And for the most part, they're like, oh, I'm not really sure. These need to be the ones that make you confident. These need to be one that are so easy for you to do. You don't have to think much about it. And these need to be the ones that are aligned with your values. So for me, if I were to even ask you what's your one signature strength, and if you were to put that in the comment when you watch this on the replay later, think about that. Do the test in our blog. There is a strengths test, which is quite popular. It's the one that most of us are familiar with, the VIA strengths character test. Spend the time. Right? We're coming to the end of 2025. We're starting a new year. So it's a good time to evaluate, do that audit. What am I good at? And that's the I and the G. So the teams and the individuals, I really want you to go into 2025 figuring out what your signature strengths are, aligning that with your work that you're doing, and identifying ways where you can improve on those skills, if I'm really good, for example, on collaboration, that's one of my powers, my strengths, that's I'm really good at it. If I want to collaborate, and that's what I want to do, but if there's a different way that I can add a complementary skill to my collaboration skill, which can make me even better in 2026, I would love to do that. So think about that. And for managers, here's a big kind of closing comment on this one here that I'd like to say. Managers, you are a buffer to preventing burnout in your staff. We've already talked about recovery. We've talked about workload management. We talked about building trust as leaders. So managers, you are the first point of contact to prevent burnout in individuals, in your teams. And if you are not aware of your team's signature strengths, you are losing this battle. Because what needs to happen for the individuals that are at the peak of their burnout, inching towards burnout or returning back to work after burnout, is you need to lead them towards work that is energizing them. You need to lead them towards projects that is making them feel that they're utilizing their signature strengths. So not only is this an individual responsibility, this is a shared responsibility where managers also need to know the strengths of your teammates. And you need to be able to list that really, really quickly to me and be able to say, like, yes, I know what Hannah's, and I mean, honestly, you can ask me this right now. I know exactly what Hannah's good at. I know what Jason's really good at. I can tell you about Jackson. I can tell you about Furkan because I've seen all of you in your spaces, and I've seen the way that you work in different ways. And I, as a manager or as a collaborator or as a mentor to these individuals, I can list that off really quickly. So if there was one closing statement I will give you, and in the chat box, if you can, put that in later when you're listening to this from wherever, YouTube, LinkedIn at this point, I don't know where we're going. Please focus on your signature strengths, do that evaluation, do that audit, and then come back and tell us what that looks like, okay? Any comments from anybody, or from Hannah or from Jason about signature strengths? I know this is one I think we've talked about a lot. Just maybe 30 seconds on this one before we wrap this up here.
I guess I can go. I mean, I remember from that article that like my signature strength was like curiosity. And I think that really ties into the topic of trust. A lot of us, especially those who've been in the workforce for about 10 to 20 years, always look at millennials or Gen Zs and they always ask, why do they always ask for the why? The why do you do this? Why is this way? And they're really just looking for an answer or a concept to understand the situation as well as yourself. So being curious about their thought process as well, or your thought process in general, is just a huge way that you can help them with their workload, with their burnout, with their recovery. And this is also something you get curious with yourself in order to really elevate your workload, or as well as your performance.
Awesome. Any final thoughts from you, Hannah, on anything? Floor is yours.
Yeah, for being within a team setting, I think this could be such a fun thing to do with your team, whether you're the one like implementing it as a manager or not, or you work closely with a team in your office and you just get everyone on board to take this signature strengths test. Because delegating things when you know who's good at what and what energizes them is, I mean, that changes the game. And you're able to be far more productive and enjoy it and be able to communicate a lot easier, rather than assigning people things that like maybe they don't even realize that might not be one of their strengths. Yeah, it's such a, I mean, it does tie into the being able to preserve your resources and everything that I talked about in my slides entirely.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think this was kind of the benefit, or I think it organically just worked that way when people read our blogs and they pick the best ones. All of this ties in really nicely together. So I appreciate all of our comments there. I'll just end by saying that there's a micro learning course that I just dropped about a week ago. Try it out. I mean, I'm testing this out on a platform that is new to me. And you can just scan the QR code. And we picked the DRAMMA model, the rest and recovery model, to try out this micro learning course. It's got some quizzes in there, the theory behind it, some questions for you to think about. What is rest? What is recovery? And just it's just a fun way to learn this technique. If you're someone who likes kind of learning, this is available on your desktop, but also on your mobile. Again, I'm just testing this out to see if people like it, and if it is, then I'll make more, or we will find something else to do. So I wanted to just share that. And I also finally, this is the best part that I wanted to share, which is our first digital magazine that Hannah's helping me put together. This is her baby. I'm very proud of all the work we have been able to do over the last year. Jeddy Wellness has been running successfully for 4 years now, and we wanted to kind of move away from the PDF guides and everything else that seems kind of boring. So when Hannah suggested, hey, let's do something cool and do a digital magazine, keep it a little bit more fun and exciting. You can flip through the pages. It'll be more of an immersive experience. This is just a mock-up of what that first page would look like. We're still working with our designer, which thanks to Nick here from LinkedIn, I was connected to Jen Lin. So we're putting this together. We're hoping to launch this in December. So this will be our first digital magazine. It's going to have all of our community wins. It's going to have all the little information from Workplace Wellness Hour. It's going to have all our favorite blogs. So if you didn't like this event, or if you felt like, oh my God, I want to read more about it, this would be the place to kind of do that. And this is our first, edition 1. I think what I'd like to do is, depending on how people like this, we would like to do another version of it at some point in the new year, probably a mid-year edition, and then another annual edition. So that's what's coming up there. And I'll close by saying, again, if you want to join the Jeddy Wellness Ambassador Program, this is a great opportunity to come up on stage like this. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to learn my lessons. And I think next time I'm just going to hire somebody to do this production work for me, because clearly this is not one of my strengths. No matter how many times I try to get this right, I seem to get it wrong. So I think I'm not going to put that pressure on myself in the new year. I'm just going to get some support from individuals who are good at it. And I promise you, I did quadruple check that this was going to work. And just before go live, I don't know what happened. Anyways, join the ambassador program if this is something that's exciting to you. Please come and share with us. You get an opportunity like this to come share your learnings, become a facilitator for Jeddy Wellness. We are actively looking to increase our facilitator cohort. So the more people that I have who are genuinely passionate about workplace wellness and research and science and teaching and education, that is the type of person that I am looking for. So you can 100% put that in the just contact me. I think that'll be the easiest way. And if you want testimonials about how the program is going, reach out to any one of these individuals. Reach out to Hannah, reach out to Jackson, to Forcan, or our past ambassadors, and get a real-time update from them about what this is like. We're 2 minutes over. I want to respect the time that we've all put in to be here. And I am so appreciative of Hannah and Jason and Jackson for spending time with me today and learning more and sharing your best strategies and using the tool. I'm sorry that the comments were not as it wasn't it wasn't what we expected, but here we are and we practiced. We're gonna get better at it, and we'll continue moving forward for the new year. And if you're watching this on your on the replay, please put some comments. We will read them later as the weeks go by, because I know LinkedIn keeps promoting this event even after it ends. And you can always watch the replay on YouTube as well. With that being said, I'd like to say goodbye. Hannah, you can say your goodbye as well. We already lost Jason, but final goodbye, and we will end the show.
Thank you, everybody. It's been a fantastic year.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in 2026. Good night.